Hello and welcome back to the second channel. Quick thank you to Vapor95 for sending me some cool t-shirts and covering my disgusting naked body. Today we're going to be taking a look at some Game Boy mods. Now RetroSix is a company that makes these really cool shells. They're sort of known, I think, for these shells in recent months, I suppose, but previously they're just sort of like a source of Game Boy parts. You know, I'll buy something on eBay and it will turn out to be from RetroSix. So this, I think, has really put them on the map. They've also got a couple of other things that we'll take a look at in this video, such as a USB-C rechargeable battery. There's also a Pro Sound mod thing, like to boost the sound. I've never ever really thought that they're worth it. I mean, I don't know how loud you need your Game Boy to be, but a Game Boy Advance speaker for me is loud enough just as it is. And also it's a very intricate process to add that sound mod in. So we're going to be taking a look at the pre-cut shells, which mean that you can just drop in the IPS screen and you don't have to worry about cutting up the shell, and they're very affordable. I believe they're $14.99. I'll put a picture of them up on the screen right now. Here's a few different colors that they do. There's a pink one, a purple one, a yellow one, and a green one. And if I really quickly show you what you get with it, here it is. So it's got a soft touch finish. I'm not sure how long that's going to last for. To be honest with you, the soft touch finish has always been something I've been rather skeptical of. In fact, I'm almost tempted to scrape it with my nail and see what happens. Should I do that? Should I do that at the end? I feel like some people would want to know that, especially, you know, a device that's like a handheld device that you're going to be playing on a lot. Your nails are definitely going to scratch that. But it's a really nice shell. So as you can see, there's a far wider opening for the LCD screen to just drop in, the IPS screen mod. So that's really handy, because to cut the shell is actually quite a challenge. The other thing you have to do as well is actually enlarging the opening for the actual screen, and that's a very intricate process. Unless you have a Dremel or you're really good and confident with a knife, that is something that most people will probably struggle with. So the Game Boy shell that we're going to be using is one that they've actually made for me. Now this is a one-off. This will never be in formal production. This was just a one-off to show in the videos. So if I take it out here, it's a white shell, and actually on the back they haven't got the soft touch finish, which I'm really digging. Let's take off this tape. And there we go, there's the first little bit of Retro Future logo. Now this one has a cutout at the bottom of the battery cover already for the USB-C mod. And the other thing these shells have pre-cut is to cater for the USB-C actual rechargeable battery. Now you can just use regular AA's in here, that's not going to stop you from doing that, but if you wanted to add the battery mod, you can without cutting the shell. And then flipping it over to the front, and look at that. Take this off. Oh, boom. So yeah, there's a couple of things that they've done. So up at the top where you have the Nintendo logo, I'm not sure you'll be able to see it on that one. So this is the one that I was aware of. You see how it says RetroSix up the top, but I don't know if you'll be able to see it on this one. It actually says for Nintendo. So it's just a really small little 4 there, and that's probably how they're getting away with like copyright and stuff like that. I'm not really sure. But yeah, this is really awesome. Glass screen lens as well. It's obviously the sort of the house colors. There's me. They've also UV printed on the buttons, and then when the glass is placed in, it completes the sort of picture. So yeah, that's really cool. Massive thank you to them for doing that. Obviously they didn't have to do that. They didn't tell me they were going to do that. So included in the kit that they sent me was this little piece of plastic. I'm not sure where you get that from. However, I'll try and find it and leave a link below. But what this does is, I think, just sort of centers everything and keeps everything in place. So there's no need to use any sort of adhesive, as far as I know. So let's just see if this is actually gonna work. Boom. Look at that, that's very nice actually. So there's a little piece of plastic that sticks out a bit further, which slots down next to the screen, and that is that held in there nicely. And then here is the ribbon cable, which is for the screen. So it looks like that can sort of tuck underneath, maybe? Yeah, like that. Awesome. Okay, and then that's going to fold over there, and then you've got your screen mod. So let's go ahead and do the soldering first for the different button control malarkey. Or No, let's not do that. Let's keep this completely solder free. And if you want to do the actual soldering where you have the different button presses and stuff, you can check out my main channel video which shows how to do that because the screen is still the same. So yeah, let's just do this completely solder free and sort of low effort so that the people who just want to do a Game Boy mod but aren't pros at doing all of this sort of stuff can have something that they can do, which is fairly simple and inexpensive. So what we're going to do before we reassemble everything, included with the screen is this little adhesive thing, which we're just going to stick on the back of the screen, which is just to sort of stop anything from shorting out. So there we go. And now let us peel off the protective film. And we'll take our shell and pop it down like that. And then take the bracket. Cool. Okay, let's just reapply this little protective film on here for now. Right, now we need to take our ribbon cable and slot it in there. Or actually, we need to check. With the ribbon cable, there's two different pins on there. There's one with more pins and one with less pins. So you need to open up your Game Boy and actually see which one it is. There is a way to tell just by looking through this little hole. I'll try and find a picture of how to do that online, but I don't know how that little code thing works. So let's just open this up and see which Game Boy ours is. Sweet. Okay, ours is the one with more pins, which is good because you have to do some sort of weird fold, I think, with this one, if it's the one with the less pins. I'll find a written guide for you as well, so that anyone who has that one can follow that written guide and show you how to do it. So we need to remove this motherboard. There's 3 Phillips screws holding it down. And the motherboard is actually the only thing we're going to need from here, I think. Yep, don't think we need anything else. Right, let's set this ribbon cable down. So the ribbon cable is in, the screen is in, the bracket is in, and the little adhesive sticker is on the back. So let's just pop the start and select membrane back in. So we should be good now to just put the motherboard in. Let's see. Yep, I don't see anything else that we need to do. That's it. Okay, so we can fold, no, let's put the screws in first. Now remember, it's going to be very difficult to screw your screws into this shell because you are actually tapping the screws into the shell for the first time. There's been no screws in these brand new shells before, so you need to be really, really careful. Make sure you have the right size Phillips screw bits, because if it's not the right size, then you'll end up just chewing up the screw and you may get it stuck in there, which is obviously going to cause you a few problems. So now we can fold the ribbon cable over and slot it in like that, and then pop the latches down. Right, now let's quickly double check that the screen actually works. It does work. Good stuff. I think all that's left to do is just put the shell back on and put the trigger buttons in and stuff. In true retro future professional style, I've forgotten to put the little light tube back in. Let me show you where that goes. So the little light tube is this tiny little thing, and that goes in here. So annoyingly, my camera battery died. All I did was just put the back of the Game Boy on. Now the other thing I did as well was I took the adhesive that I was sent, the 3M adhesive, and I stuck it to the back of the screen lens that they made me because there was no adhesive on there. And unfortunately, I don't really know what's happened, but the UV print has like separated from the glass, and I feel awful that that's happened because, you know, obviously this is a custom thing that they've made me, but it's not adhered to the front of the glass, so it's just it started like peeling off and bubbling. Really, really sorry, but I guess that gives me a chance to show some of the other screen lenses that they make. So here is some more of them, and I think I already know which one I want to put on. That one looks so badass. That's like a white sort of pearl glass one. Super Famicom one. Looks like that's just a regular back one. And then there's a Pikachu one. Sweet. Yeah, that looks really cool. To be fair, I think that looks better. It just looks more sort of low-key. Right, we can peel off the protective film. Happy days, nice and shiny glass, and I really like the pearl sort of mirror in the Game Boy Advance logo. That's awesome. Right, so there's only 2 more things to do, and the first one is the battery mod. So this is it. So RetroSix and Handheld Legend, and this is Clean Juice. Now I must thank Handheld Legend as well, specifically Dustin, who is my contact there, who arranged for all of this to be sent to me. So big thank you to them. Obviously none of this is sponsored, it's just all being provided to me for free, but it's not going that well considering I've already broken their screen lens. And then here's the battery cover. We shall pop that on. And as you can see there, that perfectly lines up with the USB-C hole, which is already as well pre-cut. So that's a really nice clean hole there. And let's see if there's any juice in it. Boom, look at that. Now I'm not sure why it does that, sort of powers on like that in a fade. Is that meant to happen? Not sure. It's also not perfectly centered. I'm not sure why, because we use their screen bracket. You can see there's a little bit of black up there, and there's also a bit of black down here. Anyway, I mean, that's not really that big of a deal. That's just going to be if you're really, really specific. But being that it's a white Game Boy, it does stand out. If you had a black screen lens, it probably wouldn't matter as much. So that is going to conclude this video on the RetroSix pre-cut molded shell. Now, it's a really cool shell. Don't get me wrong, great value, great color choices. I had another look on their website and not all of the shells are soft touch. So if you are a little bit worried about the soft touch stuff coming off, then you can get other ones that aren't soft touch. But I did actually do a little scrape test. My microphone wasn't recording, which is why the audio for the last couple minutes has been awful. And yet it doesn't come off very easily. So I'm fairly confident it will last you quite a long time before you start damaging it. If you don't want a soft touch one, they do other ones like this one, which aren't their soft touch. It's just the regular plastic. So this isn't necessarily new. The only new thing about it is that it's an actual mold. It's a dedicated shell that has been molded specifically to fit the IPS screens, which is absolutely brilliant. But obviously Retro Modding as well, which is a company that I've done a lot of work with, they have a very similar thing. Basically, they just CNC any shell for you. So any shell on Retro Modding's website can be pre-cut to fit the IPS screen with no additional cutting required. So that means you have a vast selection of shells, and it works out to be, I think we worked out it's about £1 or £2 more. So I'm not going to give any of my opinions on that, but I just thought to be completely non-biased, I would give you that information as well. But this is a bloody great shell, and let's not take away from that fact. It's an absolutely awesome thing. Huge thank you to them for putting me on the Game Boy. I do find it very cool. It is a big shame about the screen lens that didn't work properly. Their UV printer, I think, is new. They've only just got it, so it is probably going to take them a little bit of trial and error to get that right. But this has worked absolutely perfectly, so I'm really, really pleased with that. So big thank you to them for that. But yeah, this shell does exactly what it says on the tin. Obviously, this was a solder-free mod assembly, so although we can't change the brightness of the screen by holding down select and L and R, this thing still works absolutely perfectly. And we have a USB rechargeable battery in there that you'll probably never need to actually look at inside. You just keep it like that and you charge it through the bottom. And there's your modded Game Boy, and there was no soldering or cutting up required, and the whole thing probably came to about $150 or £120 or something. And you can see how beautiful the screen is there, and because it's IPS you get beautiful viewing angles. So yeah, look, I'm really, really impressed by this shell. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. People have been asking me for so long, so hopefully this will satisfy your demand. I like it. That is my opinion. I like it. I don't like the soft touch stuff just because, I don't know, I just don't really like it. It feels like it's only a temporary finish, and that worries me greatly. I much prefer the hard stuff like this. So yeah, go check them out. Thank you very much to Handheld Legend and RetroSix, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Adios.